And welcome back to our continuing coverage of today's World Championship quarterfinal bout between Fnatic and Edward Gaming. The Chinese squad are currently down 0-2 and need to win every game from here on out to keep their tournament hopes alive. Much like my South African brethren, who are currently playing against Wales in the Rugby World Cup. Unfortunately, for the local English crowd, your team is not, but hopefully my team can pick it up.
Wow.
Sorry, I had to get a dig. We're in a rugby country. This is the only time I can talk about this stuff, gentlemen. It's out my system. Unfortunately, South Africa is also losing to Wales, so I kind of deserve that.
There you go.
So, yes. Right, let's go. Pick some bands. Fnatic, blue side game 3. GP and Maud are still undefeated because of the remake, so we will need to see who's going to take the lead in that regard. And Tom Kench has been pivotal, let's say.
Sure, and I expect Fnatic to just ban it away. Don't want to risk it, go first rotation on the side of EDG, as the jungle picks has been like the first picks outside of the Mordekaiser, which is probably also going to be banned now by EDG, because they clearly did not want to play that again.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to get through again.
And since yesterday, we're seeing Mordekaiser also banned on the blue side, not exclusively red side bans, which we were seeing during the course of week 2 at the World Championship.
Definitely don't want to play Mordekaiser
This
on
time
the side
round,
of EDG.
EDG getting rid of it once more. So, GP up, Lulu up, Tom Kench up, Jinx up.
We should expect
picks.
EDG's bans now just to be Mordekaiser, GP, and Elise again. Target out Reignover, and Fnatic can then look to first pick the Rek'Sai like they did in the first game. Or maybe the Gragas if they want that one instead.
Well, a few of those predictions have come true already. 20 seconds left. Where do they go with the rest of their picks, Deficio, if plays out as expected with Elise and then Rek'Sai first pick for Huni?
Well, seeing as EDG will have the last pick, and we just saw that Rivet into Fiora, we might see them be a little bit more aware of the fact that blind picking Fiora might not be the smartest decision if you are EDG, and therefore they maybe want to save that for Koro, but would require them to get like a safe control mage in the mid lane, which is not always EDG's style.
Honestly, if I was EDG, I might even put Koro on something like Malphite and put all my eggs in the Deft Pawn basket here.
One of the problems about the Malphite though is just Huni can play like Echo into it, he can maybe play Fiora into it and try and really bully him in lane.
They did lose the game he played Echo, didn't they? Oh no, they won. They won. They were able to defeat AHQ.
Yep, 8, 5, and 8. 3 KDA.
Oh,
champion for Huni.
The Sivir and Kennen steal.
So EDG,
Interesting.
I think the Kennen takeaway is fine. I think they turn a little bit too hard on Sivir for Fnatic. It's not necessarily a must-pick for Fnatic in any way. They played Jinx already. There's a lot of picks Reckless can play.
Yeah.
The AD carry position.
Reckless utility picks here being stolen away, I feel like is kind of a trick on EDG, because Reckless, we saw him just play the Jinx game. He's very well-rounded AD carry. He can easily play around those stealaways. So my question is this Kennen going to be support or solo lane?
We'll have to see. It's obviously one of the flex picks you can use. But I think what EDG is doing is saying, because Tahm Kench and Lulu are banned, your Jinx pick is a lot riskier now. There's no Tahm Kench to save it. So by us taking away your utility picks, we will have ways of at least getting onto you as an AD carry in these big team fights. Kennen flash in, Sivir popping her ulti. I think they're basically looking at the fact that whenever the Tahm Kench Lulu has been open, Fnatic has run the utility AD carries because they were safer to run.
Yeah, I mean, Janna is a really good answer to Kennen, because Janna can just knock him right back out during the duration of the ult, and because there is that small delay after you get knocked out as well, it basically nullifies the Kennen ultimate as long as Janna herself doesn't get knocked down. Adding in Gragas, though, is some extra displacement here for EDG, so it does add some versatility there. EDG definitely, clearly a Stampede comp, though. They just want to rush him down. They want to get to Jinx, blow him up.
And that's the thing again here for EDG. They're basically saying, you ban away the 2 champs to protect the Jinx, so now we try and force you to pick the Jinx at the same time by taking away your picks. And also EDG are potentially saving the last pick for Koro. We talked about how this Fiora matchup into Riven wasn't that great for him, also because he got ganked so many times. So they want to at least have the flex option of Kennen, or go something completely different in that top lane.
A lot of pressure then for Koro in this last pick. He's had a difficult game to bounce back from, and mentality in the EDG camp will be something we'll have to look at. Huni will once again get his hands on Riven. He had a 73 CS advantage at 20 minutes over Koro.
Yeah, Fnatic go hard here. 3 extremely strong carries in each lane here for Fnatic. Or one in each lane, obviously.
Thanks for clarifying. I would never have known that, Kobe. And it's going to be the Darius lock-in for Koro.
So it's a little bit of the same in terms of the matchup. I do think Darius is better in the early game, though, when it comes to punishing the Riven. However, the problem is when Fnatic pick a champion like Riven that can get out of control, they will camp for that champion. So it's not just Huni 1v1ing someone, it's 2 or 3 guys coming down.
Also, you know, obviously I haven't been able to spy on them in scrims, but doing my best to spy on Koro in solo queue, his Darius has not been his best champion. Of the new ones trying to pick up, Darius has been one of the worst for him. And that's why they, I think, hesitated to pick it before this. But we'll see how he does into Huni's Ribbon this time around. Obviously, you know, both of these junglers can have a huge effect.
And there's also a much more well-rounded combo around a Kassadin. Not like the one where they try to siege with 5 melee champions and so on, because you have wave clear on a Sivir, you have a fairly strong 2v2 lane because you have Kennen support and you have Darius up top, so you have strong side lanes to back up the Kassadin and prevent that siege in mid. That's going to be key for EDG.
The other key thing is trying to lock that Riven down. You know, CC is her biggest weakness. Lock her down and make her a reset for Darius. That's the key to their team fight.
And we'll find out whether or not Fnatic want to once again camp for Huni, which has proved so successful. Will they be the first and only team to qualify for 3 World Championship semi-finals? Jump on Twitter with hashtag FNCWin. Or will EDG start the comeback here and now? It's game 3 of the quarterfinal.
Talking about lockdown, though, honestly, if I am Huni looking at this EDG lineup, I'm not scared. It's only a support Kennen that will get blown up really quickly and a small mini stun there to try and interrupt the combos.
But if you are Huni and looking at this EDG lineup, you might just fear for the life of your AD carry. Because the Darius and the Kassadin and so on are not going to be standing there hitting Huni. They're going to obviously try and jump past him, get onto Reckless, where his peel is going to be the Azir wall, though it's going to be the Alistar, so it's decent what Fnatic has built to protect him. It's just not a Tahm Kench.
You're a much nicer top laner than I am. I think out only for #1. I don't care about my AD carry. If they're diving my AD carry, that means I'm free to rip apart the rest of the Deficio team player.
Always.
Scumbag Kobe. Now Febiven is going to be once again facing off against Pawn. The last time we did see these two play, Pawn is able to get a little bit of a pressure advantage early on, managing to dance around those sand soldiers relatively effectively.
Yeah, it was definitely a good lane matchup for EDG. Definitely something that Fnatic have also shown is they continue to pick for the team rather than individual lane matchups.
And that's something a team has done for a very long time, in fact. They've come out and spoken publicly about it as well, where if players say they are not 100% comfortable, but for the team, for the strategy, for the play, it'll work. EDG walked over that ward, so Fnatic should be aware something is up.
Yeah, they saw the ward being placed 100%, and it's just EDG trying to scout where Fnatic is starting, so they can see, okay, if Reynolds is starting on red buff here, where's he going to path next? Obviously, what he has done before in these lane swaps is then you try and invade into the enemy jungle, but you can't do that in this case, at least for now, because it's the Mako and Deft company on the bottom side.
No invade there from Fnatic. They just kind of get the surprise lane swap on EDG. And they're able to get up there very quickly. Yellowstar with the invade to interrupt the double jungle here as well.
Wow.
Huge amount of extra damage taken.
We're going to use exhaust. Real bothersome. Red buff. Let's see. Lost auto attack. Is Yellowstar going to steal it? No,
might have to use a flash to get out of here.
Exhaust and flash to delay what, 20 seconds, 30 seconds maybe?
Here's the thing. I really do like the support invades to delay jungle like that, because jungle and top lane are two of the biggest playmakers in the early stages of the game, because top lane is your teleport, jungler is the one working with Fog of War, moving around the map. So taking them both out, delaying them both, greatly reduces EDG's ability to make plays in the early stages of this game.
Make sure you leave before the buff dies, though. And a guy hits level 2. So
the execution is a different...
definitely a good job from Yellowstar at first, though. Being annoying. We're going to see the fast push once again. EDG showed in the last game, also in the first game of today. They also want to opt into this lane swap strategy. And this is still the problem with Febiven. He's picking this matchup as he enters Kassadin, knowing that he's going to struggle in lane, because Kassadin can out-sustain him with the flask and 3 potions and just keep trading shields into his face.
Pawn takes a lot of damage from that Sand Soldier though. The Conquering Sand sending him forward. Reignover tried this gank before. This time hits the Prey Seeker. Once again flashes, gets the knock up, and will trade his flash for pawns.
We'll see if they can return, you know, before Flash comes back up, before Pawn gets level 6. Maybe now that will be enough to curb the aggression, but they would have to just plant that with a bunch of wards as well. Koro going to get solo gold.
Still a very good gank from Reignover, basically saying, we lost this lane matchup before, pre-level 6 Kassadin, we're gonna bully you. They saw 3 guys on the bottom side of the tower, so they weren't afraid of face-checking into the bush, even in the 2v2 against the level 3 Kassadin. So I like the gank for Reignover trading Flash, as long as he can return. Obviously it's the key thing, don't let him get level 6, jump away. But really for EDG, right now it's just about farm up your Kassadin in the mid lane, and then once we hit like 14 minutes, around that time, you swap him down to the side lane, you put Sivir in mid lane as the wave clear, and you just play this 1-3-1 setup again.
Yeah, not having Flash pre-6 in the mid lane for Kassadin completely changes the face of the entire lane. Pawn has to play so much more careful. He has to now use his Q mana cost on trying to get CS, and that greatly reduces the harassment. That's why I think vision around mid lane now is going to become extremely important. Fibivin does have some already in place of his own, so...
And he's got support. Huni's already peeling back through his jungle. Reignover's hovering or shadowing towards the bottom side of that river. And Huni not running the risk of getting dove up top. Just gets spotted by Clear Love. They're going to do a little bit of a battle over this Murph Wolf. Clear Love should win out.
Right here, though, again, we see for the 2 top laners, Koro is very quickly to leave his lane, even though he might be able to get a few CS down there while the wave is obviously going to bounce towards him and just trying to shove it back because he knows Reckless is going to show up and push it back the other way anyway. He leaves instantly. Huni always stays, gets a few extra CS, and it can matter. It might just be, you know, 2 minions total, but that experience can give you that 1 level up you need to beat him then later on.
So what do we make of another trade? Top Fnatic tower for bottom EDG tower, just straight up saying, you do you. Avarice Blade was picked up early by Deft to the second Doran's for Reckless.
Yeah, and you mentioned being greedy. Huni, once again, he's getting a little bit of experience here, gets into the range of the minions dying, but being greedy does have its cost sometimes. There's a teleport here, or there's a ward here they can teleport on, and Clear Love's already in place. It looks like seeing Rek'Sai is enough to dissuade EG from going for that tower dive. Or does it just delay it?
So he, not about clearing the ward, TP can still happen. Look at the positioning of Koro at his tier 2 tower. He's just waiting. And now Huni realizes, okay, I don't have backup anymore. Move away. EDG though, if they pull the trigger instantly, we're talking again 20 seconds ago, they might have been able to force something of Huni, but that would have cost the TP. And now, no flash in mid.
Yeah, they don't pull the trigger though, and Fnatic go for the move mid.
The Flash Emperor's Divide sends Pawn to Reignover. Reignover's only level 4 though, and unable to get more damage down. Pawn can Rift Walk to safety. This will buy some time for tower damage, but they don't get the kill.
Again, they force him away. They make sure February can push this mid lane. And now with these outer turrets gone in the side lanes, I'm almost going to say that's going to favor Fnatic because of the fact that Darius is this low build.
They're going to make the counterplay on bottom.
Huni is teleporting in for Koro. Flash comes out, followed by Yellow Star, and Fnatic should pick this one up real clean, real simple, and it's first blood to Huni.
I really like this play. Just very quickly got to talk about how getting these towers down, Darius with so little mobility, only has the flash, he's just stuck there. Fnatic instantly just capitalize and kill him.
The reason why Huni can't afford to play that aggressive is because Riven has not only 2 dashes, not only flash as, you know, Koro also does, but 2 dashes in her kit. Very mobile, and he was looking to outplay that. So EDG don't pull the trigger, but they forget about the mirror play, the exact same play on the bottom side, and Koro gets himself even deeper into a hole. Huni had already, by the way, been able to leech half a level lead just from being in minion wave range, whereas Koro was not in range. So now he's just skyrocketing ahead. If they do meet up in the side lanes, it will be a massacre.
And because EDG, when they were trying to make this play on the top side, they hesitated. They were waiting and waiting and waiting. Reignover shows that, like, okay, guys, we're not going to go for the play. So that allowed Huni to get almost a full wave of experience. Just a difference in teams and how quick they are to pull the trigger, how confident they are in this play.
And the jungler as well. Because Reignover just did a drive-by, he went and did an extra camp. So all things, Fnatic really not wasting time.
And another
He already losing it.
good start here for Fnatic. You know, if you step back and you look at EDG, Koro's gone back to this more tanky champion in Darius, substituted out in place of Amazing J, and EDG, they had a good start with that triple TP comp, but really it's been downhill from there. EDG just not challenging Fnatic just yet.
Koro is pretty screwed right now. He's been relegated to the jungler, the worst place for a top laner. Koro just trying to scavenge in EDG's jungle, and he is ridiculously far behind, trying to catch up here. But as you said, it's scary for him to extend in any lane.
It's always the problem about Darius is he's not really a split pusher. Because of the fact he cannot escape, he cannot really chase you down, he's a much better team fighter. So while EDG wants to 1-3-1, that's just to farm. They want to then group in together and fight with this comp here, pop that Sivir ulti, get to the backline of Fnatic. But if they start falling behind in these lanes here, especially if Huni once again gets going on this Riven, nobody can 1v1 him on the side of EDG. So that's a split pushing advantage for Fnatic, while Febvin is sitting and just wave playing mid over and over.
Well, I like, again, the early Sightstone here from Reignover, trying to get vision to keep this lead that they have.
Again, calculated play from Fnatic, setting up around that dragon. We've got a numbers advantage down there. Good early game. 9 first bloods out of 9 games played. Fnatic really know how to get their players ahead when they pick a lane together.
Yeah, exactly. This lead that they have is transitioning into a big CS lead for Reckless as well. Because they have the advantage, they can rotate him over to the giant minion wave to pick that up. And he got a huge influx of cash recently. Now he's got the BF sword pushing up on secondary turret bottom. Fnatic also have the wards to back it up.
Huni should not be too greedy now though, because his team is making a play on the bottom side of the map. Kassadin, this is the swap we talked about earlier, how you put Sivir in mid to wave play and defend the towers, and Kassadin goes to side lane. It's very difficult for him right now because of the fact Fnatic is already grouped and start pushing in on the tower. But that means Huni needs to be careful top because his team is on bottom side. And he's doing a camp.
He's in trouble. Huni gets caught out and he's going to get dropped. Flashes over the wall. Broken wings out. Doesn't find the Baron wall. Manages to survive. Can Fnatic do the same thing down bottom? Pawn has been chunked to half HP. And the rest of Fnatic are sieging onto the tower.
That's the thick part of the wall.
Kobe, you're still stuck on that one. Fnatic get a bunch of autos onto that bottom inner turret. And Huni loses his flash for overextending. The dragon is still not secured yet, but Fnatic will now back away after having a little more time on that tower and a little more information.
And that is a perfect example. You know, Darius is a champion who could not have made that escape. Riven, much easier to overextend and play greedy like that. Now that he doesn't have his flash, obviously, they're going to have to wait for wards to do that again. But the advantage has already been gained, and they're snowballing with it.
And we really just get to see, in a lane swap, it's so much more than just, okay, we killed the first tower, lane swap is over. No, it's the play's happening 5-6 minutes after again, because the way you set up the minion wave, the tower should push down. Can you get that TP play where you 4v1, kill the enemy top laner, and so on? And Fnatic just executed that really well. Would still like to see Huni just back away from that top side. He likes to risk it and stay and say, oh, can I make a play
Gotta
here?
risk it for the biscuit, Deficio.
You gotta risk it for the dragon buff.
And Fnatic make it count. Take a look at this. Febvin, 20 CS advantage. Reckless, 10 CS advantage. Yes, Huni is down 10 CS, but he got that first blood. He's got some time, and he's actually still ahead in gold thanks to the towers.
And as I said, they've been funneling, you know, the large minion wave over to the other side, so the bank still coming in.
And the key thing for top laners here is not the gold. Right now is the experience. They're even at the moment. So despite Huni having to flash away. Nice trade in the mid lane though. Will become a problem for Febvin. These one-on-ones happening.
Speaking of CS leads, that early gank from Reignover really changed the face of that matchup.
The last time this played out was in that game that was remade. The only game where Fnatic did not score first blood. So as a team, they have a 100% win rate officially when scoring first blood. Useless stat 101. EDG are grouped up in this middle lane. They've got some pressure with their entire team here.
You're gonna
wave clear.
Siege with a Kassadin and Darius? Nice.
You have an auto attack reset of your W. That's crazy to see right there. Boom, W in the face.
Hashtag worth.
Problem for EDG was they had to use teleport back to lane in mid to defend the tower and then push it out. So now that split pushing component that was supposed to put pressure on Fnatic is not there.
I think it's a very clear point though there. EDG, they obviously know that they don't have much they can get outside of chasing somebody down with a Sivir ultimate in open ground. This is a Stampede comp, that's what they have to do. So Fnatic, they also know this, they're playing around it while they're waiting for people to go purchase items. They just play defensively at the turrets. They know that there's not really a big threat of EDG, even in a 4-person siege, getting much done.
Featherman manages to get his way to safety thanks to those shifting sands. But with 14 minutes in, only a single kill on the board. Again, a slower pace to the early game. Huni is nowhere near as far ahead as he was in the previous game. And despite the early pains on Koro, he's still late in CS, he's still even on levels, he's still relevant in this game. So EDG are going to have the option to stampede if they can find the right vision and the right position on the map.
Still, no teleport for them at the moment, so Fnatic can send someone down to catch the wave at the tier 2 tower. It's hard for them to push as well due to the fact Deft has so much wave clear. So again, we see how EDG really wants to position on the map. 2 side lanes being pushed in with double teleport, Sivir wave clear in mid, over and over, and then you collapse and you get the flank going with Darius and Kassadin. Fnatic should be able to ward against it very easily though, because if EDG are keeping the AD carry mid, they don't have really any pressure, so it's hard for them to invade into the jungle of Fnatic without risking face checking and then get down these deep wards. That's why you see the jungle at the moment is almost empty of EDG wards, so they can't really collapse on Fnatic at the moment. Just have to sit back and try and farm because you have Thorn Spike behind.
Dragon's a few minutes away. Crowd is definitely anticipating the next move. 1,000 gold separates these teams. Farm looking better and better for EDG as that Rod of Age is slowly stacking up. It's a couple minutes late for Thorn, but not too terrible. Dragon's going to be about 3 minutes away. 2 minutes rather, as the clock just pops up. So let's see if EDG can set up any vision or look to challenge. They've got a couple of wards in that area.
Just got a few put in there. Fnatic do have the chance to go back and get some pink wards as well before it. But this push in the mid is again what we're going to keep seeing. There's no wave clear at the moment, and Jinx will take down these towers.
Are they going to pull the trigger?
Misstep from EDG. Mako gets head-butted backwards, and that slicing Maelstrom does nothing. Apprehend pulls Rain over back, and he's going to be the sacrificial queen of the Xur side. Rekkles is left a little bit alone, and Koro has got the Noxian Might. Flash comes up from Clearlight, but Rekkles manages to get away. Super Mega Death Rocket gets a kill, gets a reset, gets Rekkles excited. He's got a double. He's looking for the triple. Look for the zap. Is it on cooldown? Not going to get fired just yet. A 2 for 2.
A bit of a weird fight for Fnatic. Engage happened. Very nice headbutt from Yellowstar at first against Mako. Getting that cannon ulti away, but Febron had to teleport in. A bit delayed, and they had to give up at least Raynor at first.
And again, you are left with Jinx and Azir up though, so Fnatic can take an objective afterwards. They get a lot of damage on that turret. Mid lane pressure here. They don't stick around for it actually because of the early revive times here for EDG so far. Did get about half of it.
Keep seeing this mix for Fnatic in terms of how they want to play the game. Last game it was, okay, Reckless, you just sit on your own in lane, Huni we camp for you over and over. This game, they've been giving all the big waves to Reckless on this Jinx, letting him farm up as much as possible, and that's paying off in this fight. But look at how late Fibrin is going to be to the party.
Big difference there was also teleport use for EDG. Almost everybody used their flashes, one left on each side, but now Fnatic do have the teleport advantage, and you can see a cross-map play after this. There's the Emperor's Divide, though, to put a stop to the Stampede and allow Fnatic the counter-attack here to pick up the double. And remember, they also got the turret out of that as well.
As we jump back into game, Huni was under pressure from Mako, Koro, and Deft, but he does get out alive. The rest of Fnatic, are they grouped in the middle lane?
Why is EDG sending Deft to try and gank someone? He needs to sit in mid and always wave clear, so Fnatic cannot just keep pushing the waves up so easily and then rotate between the lanes. Look here now, suddenly see both Dragon and bot lane towers open because Fnatic freely got to push mid tower and just move through the jungle.
Second Dragon should be picked up, Dapple. zero cost to Fnatic. Huni gets the big top lane farm.
Oh, he got the whole turret, not even just damage off of it.
Grabs that tower, and they extend their lead further and further away. That Stampede becomes less and less worrying when you're charging at them with bunnies instead of rhinoceroses.
Yeah. You can't afford to misallocate your resources if you only have one real wave clear there.
Especially because
Death time
Kassadin
in transit costs them a whole turret and dragon.
Kassadin is so key to catching off the targets and just chase after them, slow them down your own single target damage. EDG today, whenever they're falling behind, have shown us very poor shot calling. Randomly kind of move members around, don't really know how to react to what Fnatic is bringing.
But you could say that's true of their World Championship showing thus far.
Sure.
It's been a tough showing for EDG. They fell so far behind the Bangkok Titans. Had to pull that game back. And as a team, they just seem to be coming apart a little bit, despite Koro returning. They find themselves in another incredibly difficult situation as they get to 20 minutes. They're down that 4,000 gold. And Fnatic poised to advance to the semifinals, poised to go to Brussels.
Yeah, things do look very difficult for EDG right now. If you want to try and look at it from their point of view, they have to now rely on a mistake, an unforced error from Fnatic. Because all their big playmaking abilities are down. All the flashes were blown. Both teleports were blown in the last one. So right now they're just trying to play defensive vision, sort of wait for the big flashes to come back, because it's an all-in team. You pop Sivir Ultimate, you try and have everybody pile on, and jump back and hope that you can burst down someone from Fnatic. Meanwhile, Fnatic keep taking more, not allowing EDG a moment.
Red buff stolen away. Feathervin takes away a bunch of hit points on that top tower. And with Huni has teleport available, he is matching Pawn split push.
With no TP on the side of EDG. So again, they invest everything onto that fight in mid lane, trade 2 for 2 and even lose a tower. That was kind of the way for EDG to get back in the game, because they're going to keep trying to split push with the Kassadin. But Fnatic also runs double teleport this game because Feathervin knows what's going to happen. So he can also sit in the side lanes and try and at least push it back.
We've got a little bit of time here, and we've mentioned how EDG have struggled this series. I think a little bit of props to Fnatic. There was a fair amount of fear from local fans that Fnatic may be a little shaky. Their week 1 performance wasn't great. Their game against HQ had a couple of questions, and as a team, the week's prep has seemed to pay off.
Yeah, I think a very big deal for Fnatic is they're showing us more champions that fits the meta really well. Jinx for Reckless is so key for me because he was playing Sivir and Kennen as basically only AD carry all the time. Was that going to be a big issue? Turns out that EDG thought it was, so they picked him away, but he just picks Jinx instead.
And it's even more funny that even if they have Reckless on the end game carry and they're feeding him all this farm, they still have Huni on a snowball champion Riven, who's actually playing a sort of utility role. He's split pushing so well, using the mobility so well to gain map advantages for his team. Meanwhile, they get their tank that they need in the support pick. Yellow Star on the Alistar. His ultimate is one of the only supports that can really turn into a mid-game and late-game tank because of the power of his ultimate. And here he goes, playmaking as well.
And a flash forward, that unbreakable will is up. Nila's been caught. He does have flash, and Yellow Star may have bitten off more than he can chew. Pawn is looking to chase with Riftwalk. Here comes Reckless. The Mega Death Rocket does not find a target, and Yellow Star sent home with a drink in hand. Nila's drops the cast, and they get one, punishing the engage.
Well, Yellow Star went a
That's
little
a
bit
large
crazy.
man to pick a fight with.
Yeah, a little bit crazy in that one.
Teleport behind, gentlemen. Koro wants Fnatic blood. Maiko comes in and Rainover holds him in place. Feathervin puts the golden disc down, but it may not be enough. The apprehend pulls Reckless backwards, and EDG will not go down without a fight. There's a double kill for Huni, but it's matched by a triple kill for Koro.
Great job by EDG pouncing on Fnatic with the opening that they created. That Yellow Star made that unforced error we were looking for the EDG fans, and EDG are able to jump on them for it. Fnatic need to calm down. They still have the advantage here. They can still pull this back. They just have to wait for everyone to regain map control. But look at EDG. They don't let Fnatic get away with that mistake.
And we see what their comp can do when it gets to take these fights here, chasing onto the backline. But why is Fnatic staying? You just lost your support and you're against double teleport. Why would you ever start pushing? That's what EDG really can punish. Great move here, get the flank, get Febiven down instantly, and they win the fight. Fnatic cannot make another one of those mistakes, because then suddenly they cast it in and so on, and start getting completely out of control.
Yeah, I still think that Fnatic can regain control of this
100%.
fairly easily, though.
Still in the lead. Kobe, you've talked about the ribbon, the snowballs ahead or snowballs behind. At this stage where he's got a small CS advantage, what's the relative power level of this between, I don't know, Yamcha and Super Saiyan? No, but seriously.
Pre-Super Saiyan Gohan.
For Huni, not the...
Actually, it's a Piccolo.
It's a Piccolo?
Yeah.
One arm or two?
Two.
Okay, we'll start. We completely lost the fish.
You're going too
completely lost the fish. Dragon has respawned in the meantime. And EDG are the ones with control of the river for now. They've pulled it out.
This is bold by EDG.
Fnatic might want to try and rush a Baron instead and force EDG away from it. Huni's down here on the bottom side, trying to be annoying. There's no teleport this time around for EDG, so harder to get that flank going. Fnatic really wants to get a 5-on-5 team fight, where they can protect Reckless and Febiven.
Where they can set up as well. Again, the teleports are down. They have to work around these big cooldowns of the teleports and the flashes from EDG. EDG, every time they have these up, then they make the big all-in play.
Risky for EDG. Now, look here. Huni's on the side. Fnatic was looking to pull the trigger.
Huni wasn't able to find the angle in EDG. They are drawing this game out. That gold lead is shrinking in a relative value. And that's their first sort of aggressive, positive play that we've seen in a long period of time.
They've shown that they still have bite. Fnatic not afraid, though.
Wow, this Yellow Star engaging and then putting his team in a disadvantageous position that actually cost Fnatic the control in the map.
Sure, but like that mistake, okay, that happens. You back away, then if you are Fnatic, you don't start pushing against EDG with 2 TPs behind.
That was a series of mistakes.
Compounded event, yeah.
That was really the big one for me, at least. Now, Huni, we talk about him on this Riven. This game is not going to be about him. It's Febiven and Reckless, the damage they can deal in these big team fights. If Huni can be annoying and trade his life for death, it's almost worth it every single time for them.
And this is where the absence of Tahm Kench this time around really does start to mean something. Def does not have too much safety here against Kassadin. Kassadin, now that Pawn also has Azonias, can jump right in, chunk him out, and look for the re-engage with the rest of the Sivir-boosted team.
See if they can enable those reset dunks from Koro on that knocks into your team.
And that's the one for me as well. With Kassadin, he can go in and be annoying, but he needs the rest of the team to follow him. He needs to set up that Darius to get that first kill. So Flash and TP for Koro are so key in these big team fights, because otherwise he's just running at them with this big axe, and it's very difficult for him to get to the backline against an Azir wall, against an Alistar and all this kind of CC. So really, Koro's positioning in these fights can win the game for EDG. 40
to 50 seconds on both Flash and Teleport for Koro. Pawn not far off, so EDG will have all their summoners available shortly for Fnatic. They farmed themselves up again, a noticeable lead. They know the teleports are down, and EDG are going to be so late to this Baron party. Nella and Mako are nearby, but Pawn and Koro are not. Baron's going low, 1,000 HP. It will be secured as Reignover smites it down. Yellow Star's on the front line drawing attention, and Maiko, he's dropped. Reckless is looking to run down Clearlove. Pawn has arrived, and Huni's on the back line. Featherfin gets the kill. It's the carries Defisho wanted to see. The key strike will stun up EDG as Yellow Star re-engages. He gives his life for the cause, and a flash forward for Reignover gets the knock up, the shut down, the kill for Featherfin. Koro's down, and Fnatic with a 4-on-3 siege.
Redemption play for Yellow Star there, out of the Baron pit. Didn't even have to use Flash for that engage. They take the Baron, and they're able to clean up right afterwards. Now, the Baron-empowered siege, Fnatic can push into inhibitors.
This Alistar pick here again for Yellow Star. When they take Baron, he's always denying the enemy jungler the chance to try and smite it, headbutts him away. It's a very, very smart play from Fnatic, but also EDG trying to take a blue buff, while Fnatic is sitting around that Baron for the last 5-6 minutes with no teleport. Super risky, and they got punished.
With all the damage that Fnatic had, you know, the 3 lanes of threat, they can burn this down. They have Huni.
And look at Yellow Star.
Huni didn't even have to teleport in. He just followed along. So Vivin absolutely destroying the support Kennen there.
Didn't even get the blue buff.
Not worth. Well, EDG out of position and Fnatic punish it ruthlessly.
Now he's gonna get it.
They can taste
He was preparing
victory.
the blue buff.
Hey, it'll have a longer duration now.
Yeah, well played.
1 blue for 5 purples.
Good trade, good trade.
You actually stumped me with that one. Kobe.
Wait, you don't...
No, I know.
Baron-
I know. It's 5 purple buffs, but it's not the same value by any stretch of the imagination.
I think that's the whole point here.
You need to add
Thank
the
you, Trevor.
Kappa to the
Actually,
end of that one.
Yellow Star doesn't have one. It's only 4. Now is it worth?
Okay, there we go, there we go. I'll take that trade, I'll take that trade. Reckless with that BT, Edge, and Shiv pushing a wave in. Pow Pow wants to take down this inner turret. Feathervin did so much work to drop it low earlier.
He's gonna flank.
Let's find out.
They have to win this fight.
Is thrown for death. The body slam gets interrupted, and Clearlove cannot chase further thanks to the Flame Chompers. Reckless takes him down as Koro and EDG are running for their lives. The Flash Wind Slash does not dash anybody's life, and Huni is alive thanks to Face of the Mountain. Yellow Star saves his life. The AoE rockets from Reckless get the second of the fight. They've got the tower and they're on the inhib.
Once again, I'm looking at Yellow Star in these fights here. We mentioned how Koro has to be able to get to the back line to get the reset instantly. Headbutts him away, zones away here, make sure his carries are sitting so far back, they can deal the damage, and EDG couldn't get a flank.
Also, for Vivin laying down the soldiers as they kite, and then instantly turning. So much DPS coming out of this Fnatic lineup.
Fnatic have broken the base of EDG at 30 minutes.
And the coordination for EDG completely died. Why don't you have a double teleport with home guards coming in here? If this is the fight you're looking for, look how hard it is to reach the backline. Yellow Star denies Koro, and suddenly 2 carries are sitting back here from Fnatic, and nobody's even close. The Kassadin didn't even have a chance to reach him. You gotta coordinate the double teleport in if you wanna aim for these 2 carries.
So close to killing Huni. Huni wants to kill Pawn. They are equal on level. There's a flash available for Pawn, so he's going to buy some time. Rift walks over the wall, then flashes away. Gets caught by the zap.
Keep going for Vivin.
And
Don't let him get away with this.
Not that time. No flash. Pawn manages to get away, but Fnatic gets the dragon. That feels third.
Yep, they're going to shove right up bottom lane here as well. Darius actually is getting a pretty good push on top, so it'll buy them some time. EDG, though, definitely very difficult defense coming up.
Well, Fnatic looking to be the second European team in the top 4 at the 2015 World Championship. They need to knock over one more Nexus. And they've got EDG against the ropes.
They've looked so good this series as well. After stumbling in week 1 of the group stages, Fnatic have made such a good recovery here at Worlds.
And it's a team that really prides themselves. They didn't have enough time to prepare for week 1. Didn't have enough information, maybe, to prepare, and that's probably going to be a kill.
Well, the great chase continues. Pawn's going to rift walk over. He might be able to kill Feathervin, and he does! Pawn gets one before Reckless zaps him down. Gets excited and looks for more.
Yeah, he's got the double buff here on Reckless as well, but doesn't pull out the chase. Fnatic now, they do have minion wave pushing in top. Even without Fabivin, they might decide to push this up because Fabivin does have teleport, so they can prep the siege while he's dead.
Gotta farm the jungle.
And have him teleport in. Yeah, well, Huni's been playing the utility role this time around. He's got the Ghost Blade even with the early Last Whisper here.
Is that a support item?
Yes, the support Ghost Blade.
Well, Huni's continuing to pull side lane pressure and threat. Farmed up another CS advantage.
It's a really, really important thing too, because earlier in the group stages, several times, you know, Huni will be sort of wandering through the jungle and get caught and cost the team a kill. However, this game, he's done so well at escaping every single time. Not every single time. Most of the time when EDG collapsed.
The rest of the team was able to secure buffs. I mean, Koro and Pawn were moving towards their bottom lane. That Huni was pushing in when Fnatic took the first Baron. 6,000 gold Baron power play. The 6th largest, in fact, of all Baron plays at the World Championship.
Baron has been wearing the Fnatic jersey today, that's for sure. He's been helping out a lot, but really for EDG, seems to me they were surprised with Fnatic changing up the strategy from time to time. Now the fact they suddenly play around Reckless a lot more as the carry, and Fnatic, of course, in the mid lane instead of Huni. Where EDG maybe were expecting every game to somewhat be the same. Okay, they're gonna camp for Huni and then we're gonna try and shut it down.
Yeah, EDG to me look like a team that's still trying to adapt to the world's meta. They tried to pull off the 4 global comp, you know, after seeing it such success here at Worlds in such a short time. They tried to learn it and use it, and then they, in such a short time, they also try and use the Veigar Siege comp after seeing it here, but it didn't work out for them either. Fnatic burning this Baron down.
Well, they've got it before EDG are even in range, and Yellowstone started to initiate. Pawn is knocked up in the air so long he may as well have frequent flyer miles. Pawn will try to rift walk away and get shut down. Rainover is out. It's a double for Reckless. He wants to run down more. Def, his brother in arms, will be his dead man in arms. That's a triple. Huni finds Clear Love in the back, and Reckless with the rest of Fnatic. They're on to the Nexus, and Fnatic will advance to the semi-finals. The only team to do that 3 times in the World Championships. Fantastic play from Fnatic, and great to see sportsmanship between Reckless and Deft. But truthfully, on this day, Fnatic simply outplayed EDG in almost every way.
Hey, we had a lot of questions coming in here for Fnatic. We didn't know what other AD carries they would play. Would they sometimes play around Reckless? And they did.
The euphoria is running high, with China now being eliminated from the World Championship. The only teams that remain are from Korea and Europe. We're down to 3 semi-finals locked in, and 1 more to face Fnatic tomorrow. But for Fnatic, what a way to go. 3-0 against EDG.
Very, very impressive series from Fnatic. And the teams tomorrow, the Korean teams going up against each other, are going to be looking at this as well. Can't concentrate on that right now. They've got work set out ahead of them. But Fnatic definitely look to be contenders.
Yeah, again, we see new picks, new strategies coming. They're mixing it up. That's what I feel like a lot of European teams always lack. Like they had like one good strategy coming into a World Championship, but it wasn't enough to really be a contender. Now Fnatic are showing all these different styles. Origin has been playing well. So it's looking very good for these 2 teams.
They even show that they're not too scared to give up the banning on Mordekaiser.
Did ban Tahm Kench though, so they knew where the real
look, that's good to see, because
the real power
for
comes to great health.
I think it's important to note that as a team, they address their weaknesses.
Yeah.
Something that we've seen from this team from week 1 to week 2, there was growth. Week 2 to week 3, there were questions, and now those questions have been answered. So as a team, they're showing development. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for EDG, who now exit the World Championship. They substituted amazing Jay for Koro, and maybe his Fiora was okay at times, but it just did not bring the magic ingredient that EDG needed.
Didn't feel like they were able to adapt enough to all the changes. Fnatic, though, they definitely, as a team and as individual players, made so many improvements.
Yeah, and again, Fnatic talked about how coming into week 1, they didn't have enough information and time to prepare for those matches, and the team didn't feel like they were playing as Fnatic. That was changed for week 2. They had more time to scout. Now coming in, obviously, to the semifinal, you have so many VODs you can go through now of these teams they're going to face, so they have enough time to prepare, have enough information, and that's what they normally use to get these very good pick and ban phases coming into these best out of 5 series. And they really pride themselves in having a great infrastructure around the team and then star players in every single position. And that's why they become such a good team.
Yeah, and it's working out for them as a team, demonstrating the ability to grow, to adapt, to lean on all sources. Reckless and Yellowstar, you can see, are getting set up with Shock shortly to celebrate that victory and the fact that they will be seen in Brussels in the semifinals. But what does this leave us now for the patch? Where does this leave us for the state of the game? Because I think the picks and bans is one of the most interesting. I had a discussion yesterday. At what point does GP and Mord start being let through? Because you can get one if you let both through in theory.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think we'll see it again.
Maybe
really? Not at all?
I think we're going to see it, but not like it's going to be open every game. I think the way to look at it, right, on red side is there, let's say, a Tom Kench pick that is so important to remove that Mordekaiser goes down in value? Often not, because Mordekaiser and GP is that strong.
So I'll amend that. I don't think we'll see it until a team is already down 2 games and they're feeling like they have to pull out something.
Why not game 1?
Why not game 1?
Yeah, game 1 you can surprise.
You've got a game to play with. See if it works. You get an advantage and you can do it the rest of the series.
Then you can say that you think you'll see it. I think that we will.
I'm just spitballing here. I'm just spitballing. Because it's something that at some point you have to answer the question, what do you do about GP Mord? We're seeing now in the playoffs teams are banning it on blue side. Mordekaiser, that is. So that's already a change from what
it's like, I feel like we saw a good preview, though. I was talking about Gangplank is actually pretty good into Mordekaiser because of all the zone control and all the slows and how it's so dangerous for Mordekaiser to try and navigate around barrels. It's scary to give those both up because they could take the Gangplank. And after we saw the remake, they decided not to leave those 2 open and not to go for that again because they got to the later stages of the game and they're like, we weren't able to snowball this. Mordekaiser will probably lose now.
Undefeated both GP and Mordekaiser. We'll have to wait to see when that will change. For now, though, the interview is ready, so we can hand over to Shux to talk to the victorious bottom lane of Fnatic.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Joined here by Yellowstar and Reckless. After making it to the semi-final of the World Championship with Fnatic. Let's maybe start about the beginning of the series. I can imagine that was the most stress going in there and that really chaotic play coming out of EDG, which cost you when you played them at MSI last. Talk to me about that game, your beginning to the series.
Yeah, especially when we saw the triple TP, we're like, oh, what's going on? How should we plan to fight? What should we do? Because it was really surprising. And beforehand, they actually picked Jace. Something that is not common, so we were not panicking. We're just talking, and see how we should do it. And in the end, we found a good plan, and we executed it properly, so it was smooth.
It was smooth. Reckless, how did it go from that point on when you knew that even with some strategy that you hadn't seen before, you could beat them? How did you take the rest of the series?
I think we took the rest of the series quite calmly, honestly. I mean, game 1, they showed something we haven't even practiced against or seen before. So we had to adapt in the actual game and talk a lot and make sure that we don't play their game, because obviously they wanted to play one of these games where we gank top and there are 5 people top, and then we gank bot and there are 5 people bot. So we just tried to adapt as much as possible in that game, and then after the game we were kind of like, well, since we're 1-0 now, they might go back to standard or they keep going with this kind of things. So we were I think we just kept up the communication, honestly, both in the game and outside of the game, and then we made sure we were fully prepared for anything they could throw at us. And yeah, we showed some strategies of our own as well. And I think we did a good job today.
I think all around you showed that you can tackle a lot of things that people throw your way. Yellowstar, you've been in 5 World Championships already, yet there seems to be a distinctly different vibe to you in this squad. Could you name maybe one thing that you think is or working very well in this team that's allowing you to play this good? You can just go ahead.
There is no real miracle. There is no secret. The only reason we're here right now is because we're practicing. Everyone get along really well. I think that helps a lot. So as long as you have fun together, I'm always well surrounded. So I really enjoy the game. I really enjoy working with them, playing with them, hanging with them. So I think this is what makes us strong, really.
No magical element. Reckless, you've been looking for that squad to do great things with. Tell me how you've experienced Worlds so far and how far you guys could possibly go. Is the thought slowly creeping in that you could go all the way, or do you not let that happen?
I think after the group stages we were quite not not quite sure where we were as a team. I mean, we showed 3 pretty good games and then pretty bad ones, honestly. So going into the series, even today, we weren't really sure which Fnatic were going to show up. But at the same time, we're a team that put down all of our time, honestly. Like, we just wake up, play the game, and then go to sleep. And we talk about everything and make sure that we're fully prepared for every situation that can possibly happen. And I feel like we came together today here on the stage. And if we keep going like this, then I think we have all the chances in the world of taking the whole thing. But at the same time, okay, to continue on my point, I feel like so far we've been taking day by day, and I don't think going away from that is something we should look to do. So therefore, KT and Ku is our next enemy, and we're going to put full focus on them tomorrow and then prepare fully for next week.
All right. One more thing, maybe, because I know that we also have a chat with Febvin coming up later, and it has been remarkable how much he seems to have grown between MSI and now. Could you tell me a little bit about your experience with him and his resolve?
Yeah, so Febvin, for his first year, it's really impressive on how fast he improved. We had to work a lot with him, like the mindset, because obviously when it's your first year and then you get to play against the best players in the world, it's not easy at all, especially when you're that young. And I mean, we have a really good staff behind us that is working really hard as well. So, you know, it's just a combination of everything.
Combination of factors. And 2 European teams in the semifinals at Worlds. Also, and one of them is you guys. Finally, is there anything you want to say to the crazy fans here in London, Yellowstar or Reckless?
I mean, Paris was awesome, but I feel like this is our place, you know? Like, London is our place, Bristol is our place. And then Berlin after that is our place too. And with 2 teams in the semifinals, there's very high chances that either of us makes it all the way. And I expect all of you guys there.
Anything left to add, or are you good?
Thank you for being awesome, and just you coming here to watch our games means a lot to us, so thank you.
The cheering will go on and on. Cheering will go on and well-deserved. Thank you guys very much. Fantastic performance. Fnatic in the semifinals. And now back to the analysts to wrap up the day.
Thank you, Shocks. A much-deserved victory for both of those gentlemen, as well as the rest of the Fnatic organization. The 3-0, not exactly what we expected. When we had talked about this matchup at the beginning of the day, a lot of us were thinking we were going to go to 5 games. But here it is, the 3-0, pretty commanding.
I thought that Huni was going to get a lot of resources and roll over Koro, who we haven't seen in 2 months. And I thought that 3-0 was something that we definitely could see today. But after that first game, I did think it was going to go to 5, just because of how close it was and the different strategies that we were seeing.
Yeah, and I think that this was a 3-0 series, and don't get me wrong, Fnatic made me a believer at MSI. I think I said it back then as well, that I went into MSI and I didn't really have really high expectations for this European lineup. And ever since then, I've always kept a really close eye on Fnatic. And I think the thing that impressed me today is that game 1, to me, Yellowstar carried that game. That re-engage was superb, and he brought them back into it, right, with great shot calling. And then the second game that they won, it was all about Huni in the carry top lane. Then this game is legitimately a protect the Jinx comp that they run through the AD carry, who just absolutely goes off. This is a team that won 3 games in 3 completely different fashion and was looking to win game 1.5, the one that didn't complete, by stalling out a game when they're normally an early game team. If you can play League of Legends in all these different fashions, every single time you get on the Rift, you go with a certain kind of advantage. And EDG didn't show up in the way that I expected today, but that is partially because Fnatic didn't let them show up in that fashion and play commanding League of Legends.
Something I want to add, in the final game, the EDG's draft, it kind of felt like one of those drafts they did in the group stages, where it's kind of reliant on the enemy to make mistakes. We saw this one moment where they TP'd in and kind of did this pincer movement on the Fnatic roster where they actually took a good fight, but Riven, of course, Huni kind of saved it. He saved it big time. And them drafting like this feels kind of disrespectful. It kind of plays into what you've been saying all the time, that Chinese teams are a bit cocky coming into this. And seeing them draft in such an important game in that matter is kind of disappointing to me.
I think we saw it in the draft, and we saw it in the play as well. When they were chasing down Febivin in game 1, and they could have double TP'd to the bot lane to possibly end the game, that was something I thought they were just overlooking. They could have at least tried it. They could have gone for that play, and it showed in their draft as well. But something I want to touch on is the draft, the Fnatic that you were touching on. Because not only are they getting a great draft that they're comfortable with afterwards, and they get to pat Daylor on the back, they know how to play whatever comp they come out with. They're saying, this is our win condition. This is what we need to do to win the game and put ourselves in the driver's seat. And I believe Daylor and Yellowstar are the two people to credit with that, because right before Champion Select ends, they're figuring out, what are we doing? How are we playing the first 20 minutes of this game? And they take over with in-game shot calling, and I love that.
Yeah, and that's what I really want to hit on here, because when I talk to Deficio, and I talk to him a lot about the Chinese teams, we say that EDG, like when we give them a name, are like the chess masters. When they're playing the best League of Legends, they're trading pieces with you until they can take your king. Like, that is legitimately how they play the map. What happened today, which is why it's so impressive for me, and now why I'll watch Fnatic even closer, is that Fnatic won every single one of those trades in the end. And then even when it looked like EDG was going to make that game-winning change, Fnatic just did something, right? Like, they kited out with Victor for long enough to save the game. Huni somehow picks up a kill on the AD carry to delay a Baron that would have come through in 22 minutes in that game. Somehow a headbutt pulverized at like 3,000 gold deficit in game 1 completely swings the whole momentum. And if you're able to just have X-factor moments like that, it's not like they have one. They had one in like every single game. You're just going to win League of Legends.
It's also the fact that, like, in the first game, that big team fight, the thing that was worrying me coming into this and predicting that Fnatic would win, the one thing that kept me worried for Fnatic was EDG's kind of way of fighting in the later, the scrappiness and the way they kind of find intelligent ways to catch people off guard. And that never happened. The moment we saw that fight that kind of won them the game in the first game, I was relieved.
Well, and that's where I want to get into the scrappiness and this game in particular, because like, yet again, we saw EDG draft themselves into a low wave clear comp that has a difficult time sieging, slightly better because they have the Gragas and the Sivir together, so there's slightly more engage, and they at least have a ranged AD carry. But they continued to draft themselves into these compositions, and this goes to your point about the Daylor and the coaching staff for Fnatic responding in kind with a perfect composition to counter that. And where is it coming from, or what is the stubbornness for EDG that they wanted to stay in that mode?
So one thing I will say is EDG, in my opinion, and I think a lot of Chinese fans' opinion, is they're the best coached Chinese team. So this just shows, like Aaron and his coaching staff, they have people like Reaper that are like great Korean players that like train their top laners. Like, they are honestly a very well-coached team. But it speaks to the fact that when they play against Chinese teams, they are missing part of the meta currently, because it looks like right now, China versus China is all the Chinese teams are giving us, and the rest of the world has somehow figured out a meta that China cannot play to. They look underprepared compared to the Europeans and the Koreans.
Now, Fnatic came up big today, and playing a huge part in Fnatic's sweep to advance to the semifinals was their mid laner, Febivin, who racked up 16 kills and dealt over 36% of his team's damage across 3 games, earning the title of Player of the Series.
Not only was he consistent across these games in particular and playing at an extraordinarily high level as a rookie to be a top 4 mid laner here at Worlds and put himself in that position in the semifinals, this is a guy that plays so many different styles. When we first saw him, he was a Riven one-trick main mid laner. Then he decided, you know what, I'll play some Xerath, Azir, Orianna, and now he's playing so many different things. And this is the thing I love about Febivin, is he's not just a one-style guy. We see people who don't have that versatility to him, but he is definitely the full package mid laner.
And what's funny, Spawn, you talked about how the team had game-winning X-Factor moments or stars in each game. You know, Yellowstar game 1, Huni game 2, and then a Jinx game 3. None of those are Febivin, right? but all of 3 of those were made possible by the consistency of their mid laner, and that is why he is landing in this spot of Player of the Series.
And one thing I want to say is, like, doing it against other mid laners, sure, that's impressive. Doing it against Pawn 3 games in a row, 4 games in a row, actually, because they played 4 games against each other, is just, like, out of the world crazy. This is a guy that is, like, he absorbs people's powers and throws it back at you, and Forbidden was just able to take it to him, like, every single game.
And of course, it's like I'm just still in my mind drawing the comparison to
MSI.
him facing a Pawn at MSI, and it was just night and day. And today we had this glorious mid lane matchup that was so even throughout the game.
He's just a sponge of knowledge, and he just keeps getting better. He's soaking everything in, not just pressure, but information.
Well, why don't we hear from the man himself? Right now, we've got Jat standing by with our Player of the Series.
Thanks, Dash. I'm joined here by Fnatic, who just 3-0'd EDG. You've had a small amount of time to kind of soak in the victory. How do you feel in general about that series?
I feel really great after the series because I really didn't expect that we would 3-0 them because they're a really strong team. They have really strong individual players, but we managed to get a good early game every game, basically. And when EDG falls behind, their team communication falls apart, I think, because they speak different languages in the game, and we were just a better team after getting the good early game.
It definitely felt like you guys carried a lot of momentum throughout the series as well. In the interview just now, Shox asked Yellowstar about you specifically and said that you have worked a lot on your mindset this year. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you've done to improve, especially your mindset in game?
For me, I've been focusing on my mindset because it was my weakest point. I try to always stay positive, always try to learn anything I can. And even though it's hard in Europe solo queue because there's so many trolls, and it's I managed to get a good mindset for this tournament, and it's helped me a lot because 1 year ago I would get mad or like frustrated very fast, but now it's completely different. So if something bad happens in the game, I can just get over it, and then I can just focus on the game and win the game.
And the upcoming game will be the semifinals now. You guys face the winner of the Coup Tigers versus KT Rolster. Ask this question every time. Is there a team you would rather face after the results tomorrow? And how are you looking at that matchup that's happening tomorrow?
I think I would rather... for me, it doesn't matter who we face, actually. But I think Coup is the better team, so I think we're probably going to face them. But I'm not sure yet because scrims are not like the real matches, so it can go either way. We have a lot of time off now, or like a few days, and we will definitely be prepared.
Have you actually had a chance to scrim both of those teams back in the group stages?
Yes, we have been scrimming basically every team.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Febin, for the interview. Congratulations on the victory. Let's send it back to Dash at the desk.
Thank you, Jad. I think his point about his mindset was particularly obvious in Game 1. Because it was so hectic and crazy, we saw Pawn making plays in other lanes, and that didn't shake Forbidden. He still managed a 30 CS lead up and picked up 2 kills of his own to match Pawn.
And I absolutely love that, too, because when there's 3 TPs, and even Yellowstar was talking about it, it's so frustrating. They're all over the map. You don't know how to counter this, and you have to come up with a strategy mid-game. But I also want to talk about what he said, where he said they had a good early game every game. On the 9 games that are on record here for Fnatic, they have gotten first blood in every single game of the World Championship for them, save for the remake. That's incredible. They're having such a great early game, and they're knowing what to pressure on the map, when to pressure early. That gets them that lead, that gets them to play their composition out later.
I just want to know what the heck they feed European players, because they are so chill. That's like the biggest game of his life. He like gets man of the series. But like in all honesty, like speaking about his mindset, like there was a moment in one of the games, I think it was game 2, where Azir altered Pawn into his jungler, and his jungler completely whiffed the gank. Like he tunneled under the Azir ult to be on the wrong side. Like if that was me, like once again for us to pick on my keyboard, but like, you can just see that he's like cool, calm, and collected the whole way through. And this speaks to like how good Fnatic are as a team. They can make fumbles, but it's not about the fumbles because you forget them so quickly because of how many good plays they have.
Spawn toxic.
It's
Not in just to my keyboard.
Just to the keyboard. Okay.
It's like when I hear Fabian speak about his mindset, this is the mindset as a coach you want in every player. The beauty lies in the process. You always take something good out of anything that is bad. No matter how bad some games go, you need to take what is beautiful in it because you can learn from anything. And me hearing him saying that gives me goosebumps because I love hearing it.
But he's apparently learned that mindset, and it's been kind of given to him by his teammates and Daylor. What would you do? How would you get this mindset into your players? Are you still working on that?
Don't get me started. I'll speak about it. I need a 30
That's
minute.
for later. That's for after this show. Accolades for Fnatic all around, but Fnatic's coordination was really on point in today's games, and Mr. Xavier took notice, writing, "That Baron fight, the wombo combo of AoEs, EDG just melted." Let's check out your world's big play of the day.
Jumped in. Def has got dunked by the Cataclysm, and he's dropped. The grand challenge is onto Huni, and it procs, healing up EDG. But it does not matter. Goro's killed through the heel. Clearlove stunned up by Reckless. The Pulverize connects. Fnatic find 3 kills.
And Yellowstar, the captain, the shot caller for the team, makes the play. He dodges the hook from Mako, circles around, Rainover teleports in, and they're able to get the fight they want.
The thing that makes this play so impressive to me is the only international tournament we'd seen so far this year, like for a Riot affiliated one, was MSI. And EDG won that tournament off 20-minute team fights into Baron. And Fnatic, in game 1 of a series against EDG, just completely stomped them in a 20-minute team fight. It was 20 minutes, 50 seconds when it kicked off. Took Baron, took the game, took the series. They did it like nearly every single game. Like, you cannot ask for more growth out of a team.
Yeah, for sure. Right after this fight, I was relieved because I thought this was the only part of the game where EDG would completely crush them. But I got relieved. I could breathe out.
Yeah, they were down in kills as well right before that fight. Fnatic was clawing back. That TP from Deft, though, that's what I was talking about. When you bring TP on an AD carry and you don't use it correctly.
Yeah. But once again, never underestimate pressure in a game. If you surprise a team like that, people are going to make freaking mistakes. Deft is like one of the best AD carries in the world, and he just completely fumbled it.
I felt in that particular game, even though Fnatic might not have been prepared for this particular strategy, I don't feel like EDG were too prepared with this strategy.
Exactly.
Because in the 20-minute mark, it kind of felt lost. That we didn't really see Jace being
That was the
active.
question mark. That was the question mark.
That was the
Reminds me
question
of
mark
when
in the business plan.
Maple took cleanse instead of ignite on Ahri, and he didn't feel comfortable with it, and he cleansed in front of a Gragas that had no HP. Right? You have to be trained with these things.
You have Fnatic's win leaves just 1 spot open in next week's semifinals, which will be claimed tomorrow when KT Rolster takes on the Coup Tigers in our last quarterfinal showdown. Gentlemen, knowing that Fnatic is going to go up against one of these teams, Jat asked Febivin which of these 2 teams he'd rather face. He thinks Coup is the stronger team. Who do you think Fnatic has a better shot up against in the semifinals?
Personally, I feel like if KT face Fnatic, I feel like KT have a stronger chance. But Coup against Fnatic, I feel Coup will beat. Like, Coup is the kind of team that dissects team, and Fnatic have shown so much diversity, so it's so hard to dissect anything at all. But when it comes to KT and the Coup matchup, I feel like Coup is going to win, but I feel like KT is the stronger opponent for Fnatic because if Huni is in a situation where he falls behind, it kind of shows. But in these 3 games, he was almost never behind.
So in your opinion, Fnatic's in a good spot given the fact that the team they're better suited against, you think will win in tomorrow or will lose in tomorrow's matchup.
Pretty much,
Yeah, I think that Coup definitely is a team that's very experienced against KT, and I expect them to be able to take the matchup. And honestly, I don't know who is favored in the Coup versus Fnatic matchup. All I really care about is it's Smeb versus Huni, Riven versus Riven, and I if there was a blind pick game 5, I wish I could just see that one-on-one top lane.
Well, there's not, so let me crush your hopes and dreams right now. Moving on to Zyrene.
I think it's going to be KT. I feel like I'm on the someday train right now. I love the way that guy plays top lane, and I want to see him up against Huni just to have that clash of the Titans.
All right, well, we will be finding out who they'll play tomorrow when our coverage of the Korean Clash gets underway tomorrow at 2 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. That's 6 a.m. Pacific, so rest up, gentlemen. Until then, we need to go on cooldown. Be sure to stick around for Worlds Tonight, which gets underway in just 15 minutes. And on behalf of everyone here covering the 2015 League of Legends World Championship, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in solo queue.
We've already crowned 2 semi-finalists already, and today we find the 3rd.
Corn's in so much trouble. Yellowstar needs to hit his combo. Flashes for the knock-up hit, but Paul backwards. Saves him. The knock-up finds 2. The double finds 4. And the Maelstrom lands it with game for a more interesting way to start the quarterfinals. It's a messy fight so far, 2 for 2, and it's jungler on mid lane action. That's a triple kill.
I think I remember. Yeah, the Gragas threw the ult, and Bora flew like into the wall on the other side of the pit, and we were all going super ham.
So Bora did nothing last team fight, right?
I had no CD as well.
Big AoE. Mako's been tagged, and a quiet taste will not even be needed. Get excited with Reckless. Fnatic crush Edward Gaming. Flash comes up from Zerland, but Reckless manages to get away. Super Mega Death Rocket gets a kill, gets a reset, gets Reckless excited, but it may not be enough. The upper hand pulls Reckless backwards, and EDG will not go down without a fight. It's a double for Reckless. He wants to run down more. Def, his brother in arms, will be his dead man in arms. And Fnatic will advance to the semi-finals in the World Championships.